Hi everybody, it's Lace, and it's now daylight here in Diamond Fields, and I was watching the night sky and watching all the meteor activity, which is just kind of cool to just sit back and just watch the sky and stuff. Distracts me a bit from doing other things, but I suggest you do that. It's pretty cool to watch. So let's get into what this video is going to be about. So it's basically about me being dumb. But it might help you new players. Me being dumb because I've been around for several years playing this game and didn't know some things, or I thought some things. Ooh, look, there's a meteor right there at the top. Pretty cool. Can still see them in the daylight, but they're more brilliant at night. Anyway, squirrel. Um, and that's talking about combat decks. Now, I know how to make combat decks. I know how to stack things in, the little columns and stuff. But I was confusing some terms. And I guess I've now got them squared away. Charging is when you have a glyph on your combat bar and you have it locked and you hold down that button to charge it, one, two, three, four, 5 times, release it, and it's, 5 times quote unquote as powerful and stuff. And I was confusing that with the term stacking. And I guess I wasn't stacking exactly correctly because of the way I built my deck. So if I've been doing this, it's perhaps some people don't know this either. Maybe some of the polearm people like me that have been having focus issues. So with me just saying something about, man, I'd have to lock 3 skills and lock them down and make those static and charge them up. My friend Robin Hood said, no, you don't have to do that. You stack them. I'm like, well, I just didn't understand what she was saying. And, I probably could have gone on the internet and looked at, I'm sure somebody's done a video on this or something. But she's like, made me a little short video, made me some screenshots, and literally drew me a picture of what it was. And I figured out that I'd been approaching it from a different angle than perhaps anybody else, and that's why I didn't see the stacking and stuff. So let's get into what I'm talking about. So after they made the polearm change, I kind of rearranged my deck, but this is still going to illustrate what I was doing. And it does work, and I can do the monkeys with this one, but it's not necessarily the most efficient use of my focus, which I'm now having to manage a lot more. So like I said, what charging is, I have a glyph, it's locked, it's only locked in the number 1 key. I can hold it down to make it as powerful as I want and stuff, so I would hold down 1. That's, I guess, what people call charging. Charging a glyph is doing that. And then as you do this, you'll get the heat map and a cooldown timer, before you could probably get a full 5 charge out of it again. So if you only do a 2, or even if you just single tap it, the more you do it, like with these locked ones, I might not charge them, or I might not be able to. I might have to just do a quick heal and I'll just hit a 7 one time or something like that. So these are just locked right now when I'm just soloing and I don't really need to have any variety and stuff in there. Okay, now the way I've been building my decks is just like anybody else is, I'm putting the glyph on there, putting several copies in there, so it'll pop more. This one might pop more frequently if I have 5, as opposed to this one, maybe I only have 1 of that one in there of a body slam. So body slam's not going to come up as frequently as these. Now what I was doing is I only had leg sweep in one particular position. I only had push in one particular position. I only had pull in one particular position. And I've been doing this for years and years and years. This was how basically I built all my decks, to where I knew if I hit a 4 key, only one of these 3 things would come up. And that's kind of the old school style of playing, where you knew that if you hit a 4 or an alt 4 or control 4, you get one of 3 abilities coming up. Of course, with our decks, the way they shuffle and stuff, I knew it was one of these, one of these 3 things that I put in there. And then based on the number that I put over here, that's, would make it seed a little bit more, where I'd get more of one thing if I only put my buffs in there one time, and I put my combat things in there 4 or 5, and now 6 times, that they would come up. And that is one way to do it, and it does work. But I was starting to, like I say, in polearms, have a focus issue. So this is probably not the best way to do it, but it will work, and it's kind of how I've been doing it for years, so obviously it works. But I learned something new today, and I always try to learn something new every day, not necessarily in Shroud, but in anything. So this was the new thing that I learned actually rather yesterday. So this is the old deck, and the way I did it is just putting putting a glyph only on one bar each. So once I understood what stacking is and actually saw an example, what you'll see here is I've got skewer, 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 and then I've got a copy of puncture, puncture, puncture. And again, this is just my first testing deck that I was trying to figure out how to do this. It's not optimized. I'm not saying use this if you're a polearm user. But I had spinning, spinning, spinning. And then in my fourth position, I just put my random pulls, some leg sweep, pushes, some other things. So that's kind of my old way that I was doing things, and I still like that on things I just don't want to. I'm not gonna stack, quote unquote stack. I'm not gonna charge them. I'm just gonna single hit them, in a variety of ways. And then I've got my buffs over here, kind of the same thing. So I'm kind of going my old school way, the new way, as a mix and match. But anyway, this is how I set the deck up, and what I want to show you is how it's going to work. But I needed you to, kind of see what was actually going on, how I built them. And I do have multiple copies of these in there. Let's see if we sort this here. Oops, there we go. So yeah, I've got several pulls the four key. Puncture, oh man, did I only have one puncture in there? Oh, I need to fix this because I only got it in there once. Looks like I need to fix this deck, so it's good that we went over it. I probably should get more punctures in there. Since I have it 3 times, it's not going to stack very well since it's only in there once. Yeah, so probably need to fix that one. So hey, this is good that we looked at this. Anyway, this is how it is. These are the ones that these 3 types and these 3 positions are the ones I'm looking to stack. Now there's basically 3 different ways that you can do this quote unquote stacking. So I'm just going to hit the Z key and go into combat here. And you can practice these methods. You don't have to go out and, be killing something to trying to learn and figure out how to do this. You can just stand here kind of just like I am right now and let my glyphs pop up and down and stuff. I'm not on a training dummy. I'm not on anything. I'm just standing out in the world and stuff to do this. So you'll see how these 2 are highlighting. That means I can stack these 2 together. It's like Sesame Street. So I can see the 3 and I can drag it over to the 1, and now you can see there's 2 of them lined up, right? And that's a drag method. I know some people have issues using keyboards and mouse and stuff, depending on perhaps some different abilities they have as a person. So this is one method. It's not necessarily the fastest or the best, but you can drag them over just like I did here. So if you're just trying to play mouse only, this is what you can do to do them. And now look, see, I've got 4 stack going on there. That's one method. It's going to be whatever, and now we can get it to a 5, which is the max, unless, actually with polearms, I can do a 6, because I did get my specialization to 80 in there, and with 80, I could make this a 6 stacker and stuff. But just depending on, what works for you and your play style, the drag is one thing, and of course when it goes away, now I've lost all my stacks. So now, the other method is to hit these buttons really quickly, so I can go 2-1. And 3-1. But for me, that doesn't work very well, because when I'm in combat, I'm looking around. I think it works fine for archers and stuff because they're more taking their time picking their targets. But when you're melee, you're swinging, you're trying to move around, you're trying to make sure mobs aren't getting behind you. So I'm constantly moving and resetting my position to make sure I have the most advantage I can physically when I'm standing toe to toe. Because the mobs, kind of encircle you, and sometimes you get one that starts to creep around the back side of you. So I'm constantly moving back or stepping to the side and turning and adjusting to make sure that they don't have a good or a better position than I do when I'm fighting. That's one thing I think I do right. As for this whole stacking thing, I just, again, I feel so stupid not knowing about this. I've heard the term stacking over and over. I just thought it was completely different. I thought it was charging was the same thing. So, okay, so that's the second method, was hitting the keys in rapid succession very quickly. And that just doesn't work for me personally. Maybe it's perfect for you. I'm older, so maybe that's why I'm slow reflex girl. I don't know. The second method is you hold down the 3 key and push the 2 key at the same time. This works very well for me. 3 key to 1 and 3 key to 2. So that's what I'm hitting. This works very well for me. 3 key to 2. Now, conversely, I could go to the other direction as well. I'm taking it from 1 to my stack. I could take my 1 stack and put it on 3. So now I had 2 over here, 1 here, and now I have 3 here. So it doesn't have to always go to this. You don't have to take the big stack and move it to the little stack, or the little stack to the big. You can go either way. So just whatever works well for you. Also, because I use my left hand for my main 5 keys, and I use my mouse for my right-handed key. Very rarely do I use my left hand to hit 6, 7, 8, or 9, or 10, or 0 rather. So for me, this is what works well for me in stacking, is just always keeping the things that I want to stack with my left hand in my 1 to 5 target area, because I don't stretch my left hand over to hit these other 5 keys. Your mileage may vary, and what works for you might be different. Also, if you notice that this one was starting to drop, and when I put this one over there, it kind of refreshed its timer on the bar. There is a skill that makes things stay up here longer. I personally have not trained it. If we go K for skills, and we go into adventuring, and we go into focus, where's it at? Mind lock. You can use this skill, and looks like every 40 seconds, and it extends how long time. That's at level 1. It extends by 20 seconds how long things are on the bar, and it looks like the cooldown reduces as you level it up. And what that means is that this would stay here. It'll make stacking easier because it would stay on the bar longer, 20 seconds longer and stuff. And that might be something that I'll now maybe throw in over here or something, just based on my play style, to possibly do if I want to keep working on this stacking. Now keep in mind, I don't have to stack these. Like this one's not, these two could be stacked, but this one didn't. I could fire off a skewer just regularly. It's going to take full focus cost, which you can see is 28, which is pretty hefty, unstacked. And the spinning attack is the one that's just really eating up the focus at 42. And I have posted about this because while spinning attack does a 360 and hits any mobs, even if any have gotten behind me, which I try to not let that happen. Sometimes it can. The problem is when it hits the targets, you're rolling individually against each target, whether it's a hit. So you could have dodge, 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 dodge. Everybody, I think it's up to 6 targets it now hits. I don't know that the tooltip says that, but somebody posted on the forums that that's true now. So if I'm, got 6 mobs in front of me, yeah, that's great. And I can understand the justified cost because now it can hit 6 targets, but I still have an issue with the focus cost because I have to individually roll against 6 different mobs, whether I'm going to hit or miss that. So you're charging me a lot of focus, but I'm not even guaranteed a hit. So that's why I think some people will, and I did ask advice on the forums for this costing so much, and folks were saying stack, and I thought that meant charge, and that's what led to the whole discussion of me thinking I had to lock spinning attack down like I had locked down puncture in another deck and hold it down and 5 charge it, to make it 5. It's not really quote 5 times more powerful, but it's 5 stacks of it, and it will hit a lot harder and stuff. Now, as far as what I've found in testing the stacking versus the old way that I was doing it, I have seen that my focus doesn't go down now. So the people in the forums from the polearm thread that I did that say they're not having focus issues, I bet they're doing it this way, the new way that I found. And that's why they're not having issue. And perhaps the people like me that were having issue is because they were doing it my old way that I've done for years and years. So maybe this will help everybody out. I still not sure on this focus cost on spinning attack. It still seems way too high for the cost versus the actual reward. Now, if you get lucky and hit all 6, yeah, then the focus cost is justified. But and that's only if you're fighting multiple targets. If you're fighting a single target, spinning attack does nothing for you. So I think you're going to have to find that you also are going to probably now, as a polearm user, because of this focus cost, you're going to have different decks. You're going to have a single target deck probably, and you're going to have a multiple target deck. There's only, I think, 2 skills that actually hit more than 1 target. of your specific pole arm skills. Your auto attack hits multiple, but of your specific skills, I think there's only maybe there's three, but I think there's only two that actually hit multiple targets. So most of your attacks are single target attacks anyway. But spinning attack would be one of those multi-target ones, and you'd probably, if you're doing single target stuff, like if you're doing boss mobs, you probably want to take spinning attack the hell out of your deck, since it's just going to suck up your focus, and if there's only one mob, there's no reason to use it. So now you have to have different decks in a pole arm, and that's the part I also don't like. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we can get that bumped down a little bit. I believe also as you work up your specializations that it can drop the focus cost. I heard that. I can't confirm it. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's possibly another option. So hopefully this has been helpful for everybody that was playing like me and not doing the stacking. I think the focus cost is going to force you to use this more quote unquote advanced method rather than just hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and button mashing. I think it's going to drive you to have to play this way. One last thing I just wanted to go over, charging, since this is something that I was doing. Again, I have this locked and these locked. I could do it with either one of these. If I hold down the one key, that gives me 5, and when I release, it actually takes effect, and you can see the heat map come up. So this is just another term that people use, heat map, and you see how it's winding down. I'm going to just do it again. I'm going to do 5, right? Let's pretend I'm hitting a mob. If I do it again, you'll see I'm not quite getting a 5 because it was already there. We still got the heat map going. If I do it again, see, I'm not quite getting a 5 stack on there. I don't get an indicator of how many it was, but if you're looking at your bar, you can see it. And that's what they mean by heat map, is that I can't quite get the full thing in there. So if I go there, you can see it filled up. This was like already filled, meaning really I only got like 4, it looks like there. And this can also, using it in this style, will also eat up your focus. Now, I wasn't having focus issues because of this one particular skill, which even though I can't see if that says 19, I think, or I can't see if that was 10 or 19. Can't read it from this far. Old again. I'm old. Well, actually, it's really, I just play on a big screen and I'm pretty far away from it. I don't sit there with my eyes up against the screen on a desk. But anyway, yeah, so that's what the heat map thing, I could do a couple threes pretty easy and not, heat it up too much. So that was not eating my focus. You can see mine's not going down. I do have a good food on and stuff, but yeah, and I don't have some things equipped here like shield bash. I don't have a target, so that's not going to happen. And charge and stuff. That's why those are grayed out, by the way, because this deck's actually built for spear and shield rather than it's built for. I don't have a target, so it can't hit them. So that's why those are grayed out, because I'm not actually attacking anything. But anyway, that was the charging thing. And you can do the same thing for heals. I don't know, if I didn't have these locked and I didn't have them stacked on my heals, hitting it once is a baby heal. But if I hold it down, I can charge those again like that for a more powerful heal. But the problem is depending on what your mobs you're fighting, if you're in the mobs that do a lot of stunning and stuff, you'll end up not being able to get a 5 charge off. So keep that in mind too. And you kind of just got to work it. It depends on the type. Everything's situational in any type of game. So sometimes it's easier for me to hit 7, 8, 9 and just do 3 baby heals real quick and get back to my attacking, when sometimes I might do a 2 or a 3, or a 5. So that's the charging thing, and that was my play style, and it will continue to be my play style probably for my heals. But I have taken out this static puncture charge thing, and am working with the stacking. And I'm probably going to end up with a mix or match. I'm probably going to keep one locked down, because sometimes fights you can get right down to the very end where you just got a sliver of health, they've got a sliver of health, and if you've got something that you can just freaking hit and charge, just die, damn it. You can hit that button, die. You can call it your die button. So anyway, so that was the charging thing that I had been doing and thought that meant stacking. I thought stacking was when I was doing that, but it's really quote unquote charging it up. Also remember, when you're hunting, Like right now, I don't actually have a target to where I'm swinging automatically. There's not a pole arm dummy in front of me, but I do have my auto attack on. Remember to hit the T key, that means disabled. So now when it's disabled, and you got the only problem with this is you got to make sure if you have a bunch of mobs around you, or if there's deco or something, you've got to be away from the attack area with your mouse. Holding down your left mouse key charges your attack, and stuff. And this is what most archers use. They don't ever just auto fire because they'd have to carry 40,000 arrows just to go out and hunt for an hour if they were constantly auto attacking. But, and sometimes also, if I notice I'm getting low on focus, I will hit that T key to turn my auto attack off, because then I'm just going to get a more powerful swing, and it also kind of gives me a breather. I'm building it up, and I can still do, pretty good amount of damage by charging my attack and stuff, and it'll help me build my focus back up, and then I can hit T to go back to auto attack, because and that's typically only when I'm down to one single target, not multiple targets, because if I got multiple targets, I love my auto attack because it does hit, as a polearm user, because it does hit multiple mobs, so I'm whittling them down constantly while I'm doing other things. But if it's down to just one and I'm find I'm losing focus, I'll hit that T and turn it off and just start beating them, trying to get a little focus back. Maybe I need to heal, and this is just really when it gets down to the wire and it's getting a little hairy and I'm running out of focus, I'm running out of health, I'm running out of everything. Another tip, just putting a focus potion or a heal potion or a combination. I think I got a regen tag. You can put these here. You don't have to put the potions in your deck. You can put them in your static bar and pop one. There'll be a cooldown timer. So that's why I've kind of got two here. I've got a focus and I've got a restoration. I think they're in the bank right now. But I can pop this one off, and then immediately once that's done being, quaffed, and I'm going to use the word quaff from Rogue, where you used to have to hit the Q key to quaff a potion in Rogue, and then I can quaff the second one and stuff, and that might just get you right out of there without having to die. So those are some of my oh my god, don't die things, just panic buttons, which are which I've got in a non-combat bar area. You can put potions in there and they'll pop up like a glyph, but for me I just put them down here because that way I know they're always at the ready, kind of like some of my heals, my oh shit keys. That's what those are, and that's kind of what these guys are down here. And I believe you can hotkey these to make them more convenient and you don't have to use a mouse click. So hopefully this gives you some good tips and tricks. Some you may know, some you may not know. Some of you may be going, how did you play this long and not know this? Well, if I did it, chances are somebody else did it too. So, and again, remember, I was just crafter girl. I'm only now starting to actually hunt. So that's also my excuse for not knowing these things. Anyway, the night sky's starting to get active. A little cloudy, it was really nice and clear the night before here when we started shooting this video, but I'm sure you've seen some of the meteor showers going on. I really love it. It used to be you only saw them every now and again, but now as we see that impending doom, I don't know if we can see that constellation in the sky, that shattered moon. Nope, can't see it from here right now. But as that little thing coming up behind it has become more and more prominent, I don't know, the cube. It's like a Borg cube getting ready to eat the shattered moon. As that's becoming more prominent, we've also seen increased meteor shower activity, which everybody's, the end is nigh. I really want a sandwich board that says the end is nigh, just to walk around in. But I love the sky, so take some time to smell the roses or watch the world burn as the meteors go through. Really hope this has been helpful. Take care, everybody. Happy hunting and be safe.